Alrighty, we are live. Hello, everyone. Hi, Kathryn.
Hello.
Hello. I'm just gonna, I can see people coming in now. That's awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Sorry, we're a little bit late. We had a few technical difficulties. Just wanted to address real quick that Kathryn may have some internet problems, but hopefully it'll all go smoothly. We just had a few connection issues at the start. But yes, if there's anything that that Kathryn we didn't hear or something, we'll let you know and we'll interrupt you and backtrack a little bit. But I'm sure it'll all be fine. But hello, everyone. If everyone who is here wants to jump in the chat and tell us who you are, where you're from, we would love to hear from you. But we are so excited about this webinar today. It's actually, I'm not sure if you saw last webinar just about a month ago. We had a kind of first step to the whole series, I suppose, with 3 industry experts who joined us and spoke about their tips for reviews. You know, everything to, you know, why reviews are so important, how to get more reviews, how to, you know, reply to bad reviews, etc. And that was really great. And then Kathryn, thank you so much for reaching out. You've already done a webinar with us, actually, but you reached out and said, oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about with the legal aspect of reviews. And so we were really excited to do a bit of a follow-up today with you. And I'm sure you'll be sharing a bunch of gold with all of us. And we can't wait to hear about everything you've got to share. If you don't know me, my name is Emma. I am our head of social at Easy Weddings. You may have seen me on our Instagram pop up here and there. If you were at our industry event in Melbourne just last week, you would have seen me there too. But I'm very excited to be doing this webinar, which may be my last webinar co-hosting, because Mel here is going to be taking over the torch, and I'll let you introduce yourself in a second. But first, we all know that we love a good poll, and we want to know where you're all tuning in from, what state you're in. So I'm just going to publish this first poll and we can kick things off. Mel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome. So I'm Mel. I've recently joined the Easy Weddings team. I'm only a couple of weeks in, so you may not know who I am yet, but I'm really pumped to be here. So I am the new B2B communications manager. So I will be, you'll see me popping around on the Instagram, on the Easy Wedding Supplier Network Instagram.
Yeah.
And just going to be connecting with more suppliers and businesses like yourselves. And the plan is moving forward for me to take over these sorts of webinars. So if you have any suggestions on webinars that you would like to see in the future, or even some topics on the pro-education articles, I'm also looking after that as well. Yeah, drop me a message on the Instagram page, and I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thanks, Mel. Welcome. We're very excited to have you. I'm very excited to have you. I can see there's people from all over the country joining us. We've got New South Wales, Queensland, SA, Tassie, Vic, ACT. We've got people from everywhere, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm just going to end this poll. And actually, before I do that, Mel, who's from Geelong, we are actually tuning in from Geelong today too. So Mel has come to my house and we are here in Geelong. So hi, neighbor. I'm going to end this poll really quickly, and I'm just going to run a new poll, which is just to see what supplier category you belong to. There are a lot of options in there, but if you don't see your category, just click other and maybe just let us know in the chat what category you belong to. And while that goes live, Kathryn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Look at this way. If I'm looking, I've actually, to get better internet, I've actually placed my mobile phone out on the front lawn.
Oh.
So I'm kind of like looking over, make sure it's still there.
Oh no.
It's going to get hot, and next thing you know, it's going to go into that emergency, like, anyway. Thank you for inviting me here. Just some context. So when you released the reviews, I actually went into a bit of hyperventilation because I'm like, no, please don't glorify reviews. No. But the good thing about it, and I actually took notes. I attended the last one. I took notes, and I really liked it. It was a real realistic chat about reviews. You know, you did actually cover the good, the bad. But what the difference is today, I'm probably going to go more into the ugly side, and that is when you get bad reviews, and you might need to involve maybe somebody like me. Me, I have been a lawyer for just going on 20 years now, so it feels like a long time. But I predominantly worked in the area of commercial, corporate, and employment law. I decided I've traveled all around the world. I was the in-house counsel for all the big recruitment companies, so places like Hudson or Walters, all the labour hire and recruitment companies there. Came back and started my own firm, Hallett Law, and I actually also ran an event company. So I then one day joined the two together, and I did something quite unique when it comes to lawyers. I niched myself entirely into the wedding and event industry. And so we now have Event Law, which is Australia's only dedicated business platform for wedding and event suppliers. So I have done a fair bit of litigation work in the last 2 years for the industry, for some good, some bad. But now I just, predominantly act for wedding and event suppliers, whether it be contractual terms and conditions, leases, any kind of business law matters. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm very excited. Last time you spoke to Alex, so this time I'm excited to be here and hearing straight from you today. It's still a little bit choppy with your internet, but hopefully, it's just like a little bit choppy. I'm not sure if people are getting that as well. I might be having a bit slow internet too.
If there's anyone anyone watching that wants
everyone out there,
if you want Kathryn to repeat anything, just send us a comment in the chat. If there's something that you missed and you want have another take.
The other thing too, just a reminder before you kick things off, Kathryn, this is going to be recorded. So if you have come to one of these webinars before, you know that you will be receiving a replay link. So don't stress if you can't, if it's going too quickly to take notes, or if you don't want to take notes and you just want to watch the replay later. I will repeat this a little bit later, like if people come in late, etc. But this will be, recorded, and you will receive the replay later on. And also, please feel free to ask questions as we go. Kathryn, I'll try not to interrupt you, so we'll try to keep the questions for the end and have a bit of a Q&A at the end. We might come up with questions as you speak as well. So we may actually interrupt you. We'll see.
Also, worth noting, just to keep your questions quite general, because Kathryn can't give legal advice or talk about any specific company names or anything like that. So
So I always preface everything that I do that this is general in nature and that I don't give specific legal advice. But I am very good at identifying when I shouldn't be speaking to somebody about something. So I'll be able to put that aside if need be. But one thing you'll notice is I'm not going to do anything by way of PowerPoint presentations, or this is just going to be a chat. I used to also be a university lecturer, so I'm in the business of talking. But what I want to do is I want to reflect on the discussion that was had a month ago, because it was fantastic. We had, I believe, three wedding professionals, event professionals, that really went through not only their own experiences with reviews, but also what they thought about reviews. And like I said, I was concerned that it was going to be all light and love, but they really gave just a really realistic view of what they felt the role that reviews played. And I'm going to go through, because the good, the bad, and the legally ugly. So I want to compartmentalize those three things, because Kathryn is the man, Natalie. If you're just looking at Natalie, hi Natalie. So I want to compartmentalize it. So you've got the good, you've got the bad, and then you've got the legally ugly. So I specialize in the legally ugly, but I think before we get there, we have to recognize what is good about reviews and also some of the bad things. And one of the first things that was said in the seminar last time was they're really, really good if you work in a saturated market. That's one of the things I was able to pull out from the last one. And they're absolutely correct in that in most categories of wedding and events, it is a saturated market. So there's a lot of you fighting for space. And that is why we see the work that Easy Weddings does to make sure that you stand above that and you become noticeable. They provide all those resources to allow you to do that. But in a saturated market, reviews make you stand up that little bit more. And people will look to those reviews to be like, okay, well, why should I book you? And then somebody said to me, I'm sorry, I didn't write down the name who said what, so I apologize for that. But then somebody really, really came out the gates and said, it's social proof. I really liked how it was said, that it was social proof. In other words, it's social legitimacy that is so powerful. People rely on people to direct them socially, and popularity it used to be the schoolyard thing, right? So we all looked for that social proof from everybody around us to determine whether or not we were cool or not. I didn't necessarily went all that well back in high school. Didn't have much social proof going on there. I was a nerd, but I think maybe I got a bit of social proof later on. Yeah, we were all there. Yeah. So in a business where it's also one of the things that was said, it was so true, is you will only often, actually I'm in a business where I make this not happen, but you only ever have a client once. Unless somebody like me gets involved and we get you divorced and stuff. But usually when you're a wedding client, I'm not so much the event client, but you will only ever come before this person once. And it's a unique industry where you don't necessarily look to repeat the customer. In fact, it's a bit not great. In other words, I'll see you at the next wedding. Yeah. I'll see you at your next wedding. I can't wait to marry you again. You don't do that in the wedding industry. You've got your one shot and your one shot only. And when you're reviewed, that is so powerful. Also, when you get a review, we all love a little bit of nice. We all love to have great things said about us. You saw me, Natalie's like, Kathryn is the man. That made me feel really nice and warm and fuzzy. So thank you. But what reviews do, it's not only social legitimacy outside the world, but it's also internal legitimacy as well. Because you're just like, oh, this feels really nice. I'm liked. I'm popular. People will like me more. I think a lot of us say that we don't get driven by that, but I do. I like people liking me. I think as a lawyer, though, you have to expect that people are going to like you. But just as a general, you want people to like you. You want people to tell you that you liked. And also just the age-old, it's great for SEO. It's great for SEO. It's great for Google, recognition for Google. And at the moment, when we're working with our marketing strategy people, or you're slogging away at your digital marketing, your own, SEO and Google is where it is all at the moment. Yep. And so if you can help that in any way, and that could be done by simply asking the question of your clients, what did you think of me? Would you like to leave a review? And if that can, because SEO and Google searches and AdWords and all that kind of thing, it's confusing. So if I said to you, you could overcome some of your SEO issues with great reviews, you're of course going to go, wow, well, I'm going to let that happen. And there's all kinds of ways that you can seek reviews from people, whether it be an automated form or you can just manually ask your clients, do you want to know? So the downside, the bad side is that when you are seeking social proof, if you don't get that social proof, it makes you feel bloody terrible. So at any point in time where somebody says, I don't like you, or I didn't like your involvement in my wedding, if you didn't do X, Y, Z, you feel absolutely terrible. And I remember when I was speaking with people that said, oh, Kathryn, I've got a bad review. It's not fair. It's awful. I would sit them down and I'd say, is it awful in that it's malicious? We'll deal with that. Or if they just said they don't like you. All right, because popularity contest aside, it is natural that when we are told that we are not liked, it taps into all of our trauma, all of our, our self-belief, our esteem, our, and especially if your self-esteem is so linked to your business, which I think we all do because we're doing what we love, or hopefully, because we're doing what we love, to have criticism for what we're doing can really hit, and it can really drag up some of the mucky stuff that we've got in our lives, in our past, our breakups, our best friendships. Like it's so connected that if you are criticized, that's going to bring out the yucky stuff. I also accept my privilege in that most of my work comes from referral. So somebody will have dealt with me and said, oh, go to Kathryn. And so I just want to check my privilege in there, that my own business is not driven by reviews. But some people will say reviews, one bad review is the make and break of my business. And again, I've got to be careful of my privilege, but I see a lot of catastrophizing. Like people go from 0 to 100 to I'm doing okay to, oh my God, my business is failing. And again, it's tapping into that yucky stuff that you've got going on inside. But it's also that catastrophizing of I've gone 52 reviews and not one bad one. And now I've got one and my life is over. I'm sorry, that's a bit extreme, but I was talking to people, particularly in COVID, because things were really, the agitation between couples and suppliers was at its all-time high. But I want to say, again, check my privilege, but a bad review is not the end of your business, all right? It might feel that way, and especially if there's some untruths in there or there's a different side to the story. But one of the things I learned about with working with professionals and creative professionals, so creatives, is their high level of perfectionism. So their high level of perfectionism. And so 52 great reviews, one bad one, and next thing you know, my mum's just picked up my phone off the lawn. Sorry. But yeah, so it's perfectionism, right? So you're just like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I've got 5s, and then there's this ugly one. This just blows my mind. What am I going to do? And so it just drives that catastrophizing, and it drags up all of that muck that you've got going on inside. It makes you feel unwanted, and you can find yourself in a bad place really quickly if you listen to those inner demons. Also, like I actually saw some real legitimate trauma that people were experiencing because they'd been hammered so many times in COVID that they just were like, I didn't sign up for this shit. I didn't sign up for shit. Like this was never why I got into business. And it just took a roll of 1 review, 2 reviews, 3 reviews. And I want to be clear, when I say they were getting bad reviews, more often than not, it was because of things that were happening in COVID. That you weren't allowing a postponement at a date that you wanted, that you weren't giving them you weren't giving them a refund of their non-refundable booking fee. Oh my God, you're not going to get a refund. What are the odds? But I was starting to see those bad reviews seeping in, and it was becoming really traumatic because it was actually people holding not towing the line, that were holding their boundaries. They were getting punished for it for a bad review.
Yeah.
So there was this real feeling of, what more can I do? Like, I'm trying to hold my business together. I'm actually like, I was talking to some suppliers where a refund of $1,000 was make or break whether they were going to get food on the table at some point. So it was actually getting really serious. And so the bad review that came in was like the final cut for people that were already really, really stressed. And so I saw that real trauma and just the inflammation of trauma. And so it was hard for me to say, don't make such a big deal out of your reviews, you'll be fine. And then them going, I can't, there's not much more I can take here. So before you go straight to, I've got to go legal, this review is not acceptable, let's talk about the reality of it. More often than not, a bad review is on its way. All right. I say that there is a little, when you've copped a bad review, you probably know exactly who it is. You know that they are a pain in the ass on the day, and you probably had red flags about them probably even before you had their wedding day. So when that review arrives, I will say more often than not, you know this is coming.
Yeah.
And so you can avert the bad review in most cases. So I won't say in most cases, because if a bad review is coming in, you know it. But you can go back to the relationship to start with. You have open communication. You be reasonable. If they have a legitimate issue with something, like you genuinely laid out the wrong coloured napkins, or there was sound distortion, and you were a musician, there was sound distortion, which you could have avoided. That you're a celebrant and you've misread some names that were important. If there's a genuine service issue, you can actually cut the chances of it going to a review. And you can actually improve your chances of a good review, because if you dealt with them reasonably and in an open manner, you can actually turn the prospects of a bad review into a good one. Because instead of you got the wrong colour of napkin, you can act like, yeah, look, I know she got the wrong napkin, but like the way she handled it, or the way he handled it, was just fantastic. Yeah. and very apologetic. And you know what? And all of a sudden, the wrong coloured napkins are over here, and they're thinking about the amazing service, but for the bad napkins.
Yeah.
But if you haven't been open, if you haven't been reasonable with them, it will be all about the napkins. All right, it will be the napkins. So when that review arrives, here's my greatest gift to you all with advice, and it's not legal. Put down the damn phone. Put down the phone. Shut the laptop. All right. I don't know of anybody that lost a dramatic amount of business by leaving a bad review on there for a day.
Yeah.
I think the reason why we want to dive in with a bad review is the inner turmoil we feel and the desire to correct it ASAP. You're not wanting to quickly address it because, you don't want to, you want to make them happy. You want to explain the situation. No, more often than not, you felt a massive amount of anxiety and your trauma response is to resolve it quickly. So the first piece of advice is you just step away from that phone, girl. Boy, step away from the phone. You shut that laptop, you go for a long walk. And you let that inner stuff churn out, like the inner yucky stuff, feel it. I'm going into psych mode. I'm also going to legal mode, right? Because how you address things can determine whether or not it gets legal.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you write as many draft replies as you want. So if you want to just dive on in a Word document, I hate you, I hated you anyway, and you know what? Your mother was a jerk, and also your dog just pooed everywhere, and nobody liked you anyway. In fact, all the suppliers were thinking about you. So you know what I mean? Yeah. So you write draft response, do not to the review straight away. I will promise you will not lose business by allowing it to be there for 4 hours, 8 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours. Just get yourself into a position where you've got a clear head. Because I often find if you're writing immediately, like, when you fire back an email and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have written that.
Or a text message.
Sorry, ex-boyfriends, but I've written some horrid text messages when I have not been in the best front mind.
Yeah.
So just breathe. Go do what you do for your self-care. Go for a walk. Go have a wine. If you have a wine, don't come back to the review until the wine is out of your system. But go and do the things. Go nurture that horrible feeling, because if you go and into the review and deal with it immediately, unless it's going to be, I'm really sorry this has happened, I will give you a refund, which don't do that. But unless you think that you can hit the ball out the park with that straight away surefire response, knock yourself out. But there's a very good chance you're not going to do yourself any favors when in the heat of the moment writing it. Now, when it is time for you to be in the right frame of mind, don't give a saga response. Don't go into war and peace about how misunderstood you were, how, well, I called her 3 times to make sure that she collected this, and then I arrived, the marquee wasn't set up, so I could, just you've seen the drama play out in reviews.
Yeah.
People love reading drama, and it will stand out like a lighthouse on a cliff of, oh, I want to read this. So rather than, does anybody just dive into the bad reviews just for some entertainment?
Yes.
So if I'm looking at a hotel I want to choose, I might actually already made up my mind about it's probably price, but I love diving into the bad reviews. I'm just like, oh, what's going on? And I'll read the drama. Do you know what stops the drama? Thank you for your response. I'd like to talk about this with you further. Can you please contact me so that we can chat this through?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's going to do 2 things. Anybody reading is going to be like, well, what happens next? Did they get back together again? Like, what it does just cuts it. It's a blunt cut for those that are reading on. Because here's another thing, right? If they are that angry at you, they're not going to call you and ring you up. Hey, that bad review? Yeah, let's talk it over. No, they're probably not going to do that. So you kind of found the best of both worlds. You basically told them to get lost and call me because I'm happy to talk this through. But you're also not feeding the drama in the review. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think also this happened actually to me. My parents have come to visit from the States, and they're here at the moment. And they have a not very nice Airbnb host. And we went through the Airbnb reviews because he's been a bit of a pain. And surely enough, in some reviews that are, there was one that was like, just so you know, there's no Netflix on the TV. It's just like a free-to-air TV. And he answered, oh, yeah, there's no free-to-air and there's no helipad either. Like, very kind of... And it is to read, but then you're like, oh, well, I don't want to stay there. He doesn't seem like a very nice and
rude, right?
Yeah, 100%. Suppliers, you just think, oh, I don't want to work with that supplier. They sound a bit like drama.
100%. Yeah. That's exactly right. So if you actually, the way you respond to a review, actually you should write it in the frame of mind of I'm writing to my future customers. Rather than I'm writing back to this buffoon who ruined my day as much as I ruined his. So the way that you professionally respond to these reviews can actually make or break your future work far more than that bad review itself. So, if you clearly you're not happy, let's talk this through. If you need my contact details, please let me know. There is a good chance that you probably had 4 nasty emails from this person. They know exactly where to find you. All right. And there's a good chance they don't talk to you anymore because you told them that you don't talk to them anymore. And they see the last stand, the final hurrah, as leaving you as a shit review. So, write your reviews response in a way that you expect people to read it as opposed to, That leads me to the interaction that you will have had with these people. You got a bad review or 3 bad review. If you have tried to explain your legal position to them 3 times, this is my magic number. If you've communicated with somebody 3 times, there is no chance that this issue is going to be resolved. So if you've put your position to these people 3 times, so for example, my booking fee is non-refundable. I call them the nice nag nasty principle. So you nicely, hi, nicely, you've signed a contract that said non-refundable booking fee. I've lost the date. Oh, well, that's not good enough. Okay, just refer you to this part of the contract. It's dated this. Not good enough. I want my money back. Third time. There's nothing I can do for you further. All right. So don't let your communications with these people last any more than 3. Obviously, don't go, no, 1 email, 2, no. So you know what I mean? Like nice, nag, nasty. Yeah. And if they then turn around and say, I am going to leave a bad review, I'm going to keep my privilege that I don't rely on, but my response should be, knock yourself out. All right? Go for it. because clearly the last 3 times that I've talked to you, it's not right. And obviously within the 3 times that you've emailed me, you might have come to me to go, hey, Kathryn, what do you think of this? But if you have exhausted your line of communication, your last stand should be, I'm sorry, I'm more than happy to talk to you about this, but this is my position. I'm not moving from it. And even worse than they to you, if you don't remove it, I am going to bad review you. I'm sorry that you feel this way. Sorry that we have not been able to reach an outcome. And I say in all my seminars, and if the great answer of Frozen said, let it go, let it go. My favourite saying, let it go, let it go. Now, usually you can't let it go because the bad reviews come in. Crap, it's here. Shock, horror. I was expecting this. And that's when you go back to my strategy of, you know where to find me, happy to talk this through. I'm sorry, this is the way you feel. Don't go, I've talked to you 3 times and he's clearly not sinking in. Just, like I said, write it as if you're selling yourself to people, not actually selling yourself to that person.
Yeah.
Then what you do, and if it's a fake review, one of the best ways that you can handle a fake review is writing something like, I don't have you on my client books. Can you please identify yourself or write to me so that I can have this addressed? Because you're also telling everybody else that this is a fake review. You can't be like, this is a fake review. It's just, look, I don't recognize your name, but if you could write to me and also just explain how you feel again, or words to that effect, because you are flagging to people that it's a fake review. And they exist. I've seen a lot of fake reviews. Or it's a uncle's sister that's dived in as well. So you're onto your 3rd bad review because they've got Nana Potten or Nana Beck, Uncle Joe, and your best friend has dived in.
That happened to in our last webinar, Lala, who from Lala Design and Press, we had that happen to her. She explained that was her her traumatic anecdote that she shared with everyone, that yes, once she had, and it was a couple that I don't even know if she ended up, they had asked her to deliver some invites or some kind of design. And she had said, the photo that you've provided me is not high enough quality for what you want. And
that's right.
We still want that. And then when she said, okay, well, I've told you, I've warned you. And then she delivered and they weren't happy with it. And yes, so they left a bad review. And then their whole family, 10 people, just left bad reviews on her Facebook page. It was kind of like a lashing on Facebook. So and it's so hard. Let's go back to that social proof, make of social proof and the trauma. I'm not minimizing the impact of a bad review here by saying let it go. I'm saying that it is actually a real true traumatic experience. But what you can do is go, I don't have you, because can you imagine saying that 20 times and a person reading your reviews go, that's a lot of 20 people that she doesn't know. What you do is refer back to the other. I don't recall, I don't have your own books. It may also be from that wedding up there that I didn't remember. So if you could please contact me. Yeah. So
just find a way to link it to the other bad review. And then what you do is if you get a bad review, you go ring up 20 of your clients and you say, you know what, I need your reviews. Get in there. Because you'd be surprised how quickly that 1 star disappears down off the page, and you've also gained yourself another 19 good reviews. All right. So you just get everybody that you know that you haven't got reviewed you yet. I have a link. It's type form. Here you go. Please leave your review here. Don't go to the ones that you know didn't like you. This is just a tip. Go to the ones that you know that you gave exceptional service recently, and you go and fill that page. Fill that page and let that 1 star rating just disappear into the ether.
Yeah.
Now, how are we going for time?
How are we going for time? We're fine. Keep going. Take us away.
You're like, I'm loving this.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got nowhere to be. This is our afternoon.
I wish that was the same for me.
I'm joking. If my boss is watching this, I've got other stuff to do today. Don't worry. I know.
I got other stuff. Yeah, plenty to do. All those emails. Okay, so let's dive into probably what is going to interest people more. What is the difference between a bad review and one that's actually defamatory.
Yeah.
In other words, the one that makes you call up Kathryn and say, I'm in trouble here. This is not good. Right? One of the things you don't ever want to do. Oh, let's go back to the before. Don't pay them off. So don't just go, I'll give you $1,000 if you remove it. Don't. Don't. All right. So just don't feed the blackmail. And that is what blackmail is. If you do not give me my money back, you got the choice. You've either got to follow your business values and ethics or curtail to them and pay them money to take it off. All right. And why are you in business if you can just pay people like that? I just think that gives them way too much power. Way too much power. Don't pay them to do anything. Yeah. You can actually gain more from holding your ground. Now, couples can free speech. It's not enshrined in Australia, but we expect it that we're allowed to say whatever we want. However, it's always subject to the laws of defamation. Generally, places like Facebook, Google, they want nothing to do with your issues of a bad review. You can barely get a person on the phone from these people or an email. So if your hope is to incessantly write to Google to tell them to take down a review, I wish you luck. I wish you a luck, because it's not going to happen. In fact, the only time that I've really successfully been able to remove is if there's been a court order to do so. It's amazing how quickly they respond to court orders, but you don't. They don't want to involve themselves in mediating disputes, and that's what they see it as. Oh, just mediate it yourself. Now, if you want to start navigating the issue of defamation, I need to tell you that in order to do so, it is a very complex area of law, and secondly, it's an expensive area of law. I see people saying defamation all of the time. Oh, I'm going to sue for defamation. As I love it. I love it when lawyers write to me and say, oh, we're going to sue your client for defamation. I'm like, you're probably not. So you want at least $100,000 in the bank to succeed in a defamation claim. We've got a current high-profile defamation claim going on at the moment with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and it is not all roses. It is a big piece of litigation that's costing millions and millions of dollars. And look, also court's not, let's be honest. It's fun for me because I love it. It's much fun, but it's not fun for anybody. And litigation, defamation litigation, is expensive. So I have this theory of don't ever threaten to do something that you're not prepared to action. I'm going to sue you for defamation. Yeah, but are you? Are you really? Probably not. So be careful when you're throwing around this is defamatory, because I would argue that it's only people such as myself that are going to be able to determine whether something is likely to succeed. And even then, I'm not the judge.
There have been cases reported in the media in recent years about people taking defamation claims to court and getting them retracted. There was, I think, even in the wedding industry as well, like a competitor company left fake reviews on a different wedding service and saying things that weren't true, and they took that to court. Yeah. Well, you might have been representing them, perhaps. But
no. I would have told you I can't comment. But no, I will talk to you about what kind of circumstance that is, and that's very, very serious. But also, just be careful you don't throw around the word slander, libel. Just get that out of the language. In Australia, we do not have slander. We don't have libel. So if you're using slander, you're slandering me. You've been watching too much Hollywood. We don't have. We don't have slander. We don't have libel. We just have the defamation law, and it's determined by each state's legislation. So New South Wales, but it's become quite uniform due to some recent changes. But here's what you've got to have in order for defamation to exist. Must be done by an individual. So the claims be made by an individual or an entity with less than 10 people. So back in the day, a corporation was not able to sue for defamation, but thankfully they've opened up the way where if you're an entity of less than 10 people, you can do that. It must be a publication, and that publication must be sufficient enough to identify you as a business or words that infer. Inference and implication is quite a hard thing to do. So what Amber Heard is trying to claim in her defamation, what Johnny Depp is arguing in his defense of what's going on with Amber Heard is that the inference of that piece of writing that she wrote, it's enough to make it clear that she was talking about him. So that's what we mean by inference, in that what you've written, it goes without saying that we know exactly who it is you're talking about. So it could be like, oh, you know that company that that works in the third house of the George Street that has the sign out the front, that, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. In order for a statement to be defamatory, it has to lower the reputation of that individual or entity of less than 10 people in the eyes of a right-thinking member of society. So if you are somebody with eggshell, that you're hurt easily and you're offended by something, there's a strong difference between being offended and having something defamatory said about you. So you've got to put yourself in the right thinking person of society. It has to injure the reputation, exposing that person to hatred, contempt, or ridicule. And thirdly, or it makes the business shunned or avoided. Right, so you have to tick one of those boxes. That all seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Yeah. Somebody leaves a bad review, lowers the reputation. So, you know, she was really bad and she was horrible and mean. It will expose you to contempt or ridicule, because that's a really awful thing to say to somebody. And also, somebody might not go to business if they read something like this. Seems easy, right? Yeah. It's not. Because the Defamation Act provides exemptions. If something is substantially true, it will not be defamation. All right? So if she was really rude to me on the phone, if it's substantially true, then you were a bit of a nightmare to her on the phone, it's substantially true and it won't be found as defamation. The next one is probably the one that the exception that is most problematic to all of us, and that is honest opinion. If somebody has said you are a really bad stylist, that is their opinion. And remember, a review is to give an opinion about your service. And if they say you are really bad at your job, a court will most likely say that that is an honest opinion about their experience with you. And then if you want to go to court, another Amber Heard on your debt reference, it goes into the facts. Were you rude to that person? So you can see the scale of litigation I'm talking about here. Defamation is not easy. It is not easy. But thirdly, it can be shut down. A claim for defamation, frugality is in play. In other words, what they've said is not serious enough to really endanger your business or your reputation. So you were a real bad stylist. Okay, people don't think I'm a bad stylist. Court will be like, really? Like, come on, really? And they'll do it, especially if you're using up court time. They'll be like, this is frugality. It's of minimal consequence. Now, there is a big difference between honest opinion and maliciousness. So we are talking about a review which is motivated by something ulterior. And that is when a review has been written with the design, with the intent to blackmail. So if you've literally said, if you do not give my money back, I will write a bad review, and that bad review is written, the ulterior motive is to get the money, that is maliciousness. Yeah. If they are encouraging, I had a case a couple of months ago where they were like, well, we're gonna write a bad review and we're gonna get all our mates to write fake reviews. I'm like, enshrine that email. Put that email into a glass box. You're literally proving that you are going to behave in a malicious manner. Yeah. This maliciousness, it needs to be quite serious for a court to and proving that ulterior motive is important. But what happens when you feel that you have had a defamatory review written about you and you think you've ticked off all these boxes. It's always good to get somebody's opinion, such as mine, not your mate's opinion, maybe somebody more trained. And then what you do is you file what's called a concerns notice, which is a set out formula in a notice which is provided under the Defamation Act. And you send that concerns notice. But remember, don't send a concerns notice or don't threaten to do something that you're not prepared to fulfill. Otherwise, empty threats don't work. And what that concerns notice is saying, take it down.
Oh.
In a sensible manner, not just sending one out just because somebody had a bad opinion of you.
Yeah.
So that's the law of defamation. Again, don't use the word slander, libel. We work solely in Australia as defamation. But hopefully I've given you an idea so that you can differentiate. I know you want to move a review into defamation because it gives your hurt legitimacy. I am hurt by this because it's defamation. No. It's hurt because it's telling you that you're not good at your job, or it's not giving you social legitimacy, or not giving you social credibility.
Yeah.
And it's so public, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's defamatory.
Kathryn, in terms of like price points, like I know it's hard to estimate, but like what sort of general terms are you, ballparks could a company, expect to pay for a defamation case?
Well, litigation, first you pay your lawyers. And that could, because you defamation has to be done in a quite a serious area of law. And so to get advice on it, that's cheap. But remember, because the exceptions to defamation are so broad and easy to slot into, and you go and proceed with a defamation claim and you lose, you're not only going to suffer your costs, but you could also have a claim on your hands for their costs as well. So I'm not throwing that $100,000 lightly. I'm saying that, and then when I say to you 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, 8,000, because you also a barrister, so little old me wouldn't run into a defamation case. You get a barrister that's skilled in that area, and then you've got to get evidence and witnesses. 50,000, maybe 50,000 to more, but it's not an area you need to say to yourself. Defamation claim 50. Was the loss I suffered worth the loss I could potentially suffer by going gangbusters in a court? Yes, probably no.
Yeah.
Not for the small to medium-sized businesses in the industry. All right.
Yeah. So usually, like, what would be, like, as you just said, I was thinking that while you were saying that, for the smaller businesses, it's probably not worth going to court, and it's more kind of doing what you were originally talking about, which is go take that walk and then, let it go. But
it's actually flippant. I've got to be careful. That's not flippant. Let it go.
I know.
I've given you the tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
But answer it in a way that, as you said, you want to show yourself to your future clients, rather than answer in a way that's emotional and, quite rash or however you want to put it. But at what point, would you say, okay, I'm going to take this to court? Like, is it just the big businesses who can afford it and it's a really, really horrible defamatory review? Or like, have you had experience with clients, they're smaller businesses, but they've had a few of these, and so then they decide? Yeah.
So one of the more serious situations that can happen and does is a caterer being accused of salmonella poisoning or listeria.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when we total up the losses that a catering company could suffer because of a simple defamation claim, a defamatory statement that says you gave me salmonella, or I found a rat in your kitchen, or you know what I mean? Like, so a small to medium-sized business can be subject to defamation, and the losses can total up. So when I say small to medium business shouldn't be playing in the defamation playground, that's definitely not the case. But when I put to you the cost of running a defamation, it's not that everybody goes, oh, I'm not going to run it then. It's just more a thought about whether or not you're prepared to put yourself through that. Because also, cost aside, courts are not fun. Being us lawyers, we're not fun people to hang out with, especially if we're in court mode. We're expensive. 500 an hour, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And so you need to sit down, and often it's me that sits down with my clients going, look, that said, I'm in like a bull with a red flag. If I know that a defamation's occurred, and I'll go out, I'll go for the jugular.
Yeah.
But I think it's just more having a healthy view of what's been said, make sure it's not your internal stuff going on. And if there's genuinely a case there to at least send a concerns notice, then I'm on your side.
Yeah, wow, that's so interesting. If anybody has any other questions, please pop them in the question box as well. We'll go through them. But yeah, wow, that seems like I can't imagine what the whole COVID period with all the cancellations, and you would see on the news venues closing down and stuff like that, and obviously couples being upset that their venues were closing down because they were out of business, and then they had to figure it out for themselves. And I can only imagine how hard that would have been for businesses, and how hard it would have been with reviews of couples. I can imagine that
it was just it seemed to be the go-to for everyone.
Yeah.
And so when you came out and said, oh, we've got this seminar going on about reviews, that lawyer in me came out and said, we have got to stop encouraging reviews to be all end all. Because if I can minimize the industry's reliance on reviews, I can minimize the couple's reliance on review threats. I saw some shocking threats go through, and I saw some people at breaking point. So I saw, I dealt with it was around early in the year, late last year, where there were just people in the industry completely free falling. They had enough. Yeah, it was mid year last year, where it then just bang, bang, bang. And when you have part of the industry that falls prey to blackmail, and people get their way by getting their non-refundable booking fees back because of a threat, that is infectious in the industry. It catches on as quick as COVID does. Oh, well, James gave me a refund because I threatened that I'd do a Google review. Oh, well, if James gave you a refund, how easy is it going to be to threaten that for everybody else?
Yeah.
And it was like a plague of everybody rolling over. And I didn't like it. I think just personally, I don't like being bullied. I had a big problem with being bullied. Probably why I became a lawyer, because I had some probably deep childhood issues with being bullied. But
yeah.
I really started to get quite frustrated and angry about it. But I realized that rather than get angry, I just gave people really solid advice about how to address it. And often it wasn't legal advice.
Yeah.
Often it was that kind of coaching advice of, okay, right, let's do this. We're good. Let's nurture this.
Yeah.
And like I said, your bad review does not come out of the blue. And if it probably was a bad review. But the malicious stuff, you know it's coming. And so your job should be to nip it in the bud before it gets to them opening up Google.
Kathryn, have you noticed any in your time, like after sort of, I don't know if mediation is the right word, but just the back and forth with the supplier and the customer, have you seen some reviews being removed after that sort of back and forth? Done the right?
Yeah, I have. It usually is the suppliers had to give away something, let go of something. I don't like that problem with that. If lawyers have got involved, yeah, you damn straight. One of it is you take it down. Take it down.
Yeah.
But often I see people just leaving that bad review, writing something decent in response of just happy to work this through you, work it through. Don't write, I don't care about this because you've threatened to put me in a bad review if I don't give you your money back, and guess what, I'm not giving you your money back. We've gone through it today in detail.
Yeah.
I've also had people threaten reviews. We've gone in and nicely dealt with it. Next thing you know, because it's usually non-refundable booking fee, it just seemed to be the thing. If you don't give me it back, I'll bad review you. We'll iron out the dispute, and they'll be like, I can't wait for my wedding with you now.
Yeah.
So we can actually rescue the relationship. So we want to postpone on our non-refundable booking fee back. Oh no, we're not going to give you a non-refundable back, but we're going to offer you this. They're like, oh, I can't wait to have my wedding with you then. And I remember the suppliers just be like,
yeah.
God, I don't want that wedding now after they've been horrid. They've actually been able to preserve client relationships, which is quite unique, and healthy at the end of the day, even though they're pains in the asses.
Yeah, that would be a hard one. Getting the bad review, or just the bad personality traits, and then having to just go ahead with it. For the good review.
I think I'm the greatest example of working with people that I wouldn't necessarily choose to be my friends. I have some pretty interesting clients. Thankfully, the wedding industry is relatively free for people with really bad personalities or really bad ethics. But remember, as lawyers, if my job was to pick and choose who I thought had access to my services, just based on them being nice or not, I'd probably run out of business. And the same with weddings. I think that if we had our choice, we would always choose the people that are really nice and lovely to be our clients. But we're also in an industry where we need to make money.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're going to have to deal with a-holes. You are. And I guess you just have to be good to know, you have to learn what your red flags are and your non-negotiables. And that's when you turn away clients, when they're they haven't met your non-negotiables. But usually if they've crossed one boundary, they're going to cross a few. So keep those people in cotton wool as much as possible.
And getting everything in writing, like the threats and stuff that you were talking about, I think that's also,
Yeah, but they, what's the saying? Dance like no one's watching, like emails like your lawyer will. Or like your lawyer's watching. I think that it is. Dance like no one's watching, but emails like your lawyer is.
Yeah.
Just be very careful about what you put in writing. And one of the things that I wanted to do when I came into the industry is make myself accessible for people that have questions. So, people will just be into my inquiry box going, look, I've got this, what do you think? And I'll respond back to them with my views, or we'll have a phone call, and I'll be usually able to assist like that. But things barely blow out to litigation unless you've got well and truly a lot of warning.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow. Do you have any other questions?
No, I was just going to say, it sounds like, in terms of pursuing defamation, it's an expensive exercise, and it's got a very low chance of getting the outcome that you want. So
I think any litigation is never going to be the outcome you want. I just, the glamorization people have of lawyers and courts, I just think is just certainly not helped by high-profile celebrity trials, but it's not fun. It's stressful, and you'd be surprised at how easy it is to choose well-being and health over going to court. But one of the things I want to do though is just I want to kind of stop the whole misuse of the word defamation. Right? Oh, that's just defamation. It's probably not. I just said shit about you. You know what I mean? Like, just, I think that we've all, because we've got this view of defamation being this be-all, end-all piece of litigation, because it is romanticized in some way, that you want a court to say that it wasn't true. Along with that glamorization and romanticism of a particular area of law comes the misuse of it. And I see the misuse of the accusation of, I'm going to sue you for defamation. Like, I see it all the time. Like, you're probably not going to.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be able to. But it's also your loss needs to be, you need to be able to prove loss.
Yeah.
You've got to show that you've suffered loss.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. All right.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I think to me, like the real take home from this is like the way that you answer to negative reviews, and then also the fact that you said, Kathryn, at the start, that bad review, if you ask, you know, your next 20 couples or something to leave you a review that you know have had a really great experience with you, then that 1-star crappy review is going to end up way lower, to the point where when people scroll down and read 10 reviews, they're not going to see that one. Like,
also, if you've got 52 reviews and one bad one, that one is going to stand out as being wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that even just, you know, generally just coming up when you're looking for a restaurant or something. You'll read all these glowing reviews and then the one bad one that says, you know, whatever it is. And it's such a sore thumb that you're like, okay, well, that's, you know, that's
something's gone down here. Something gone down here. And we all, surely in business, we all approach other businesses knowing that businesses have complications.
Yeah.
And how dare we cast a bad light on a person that's had a really shitty client?
Yeah.
We should be more sympathetic of each other with that. I'd love to I would love to dismantle the reliance by the industry of reviews. But then I have to go back to my notes about all those reasons that I wrote for the good, why we have them. SEO, reviews, social credibility.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to let it go in the industry, especially
Yeah.
when you've got people like ABIA. You know, so it's review reliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So being awarded ABIA awards, I think it's all about reviews given on the site.
Yeah. And I think like for couples rely on reviews when it comes to putting in inquiries and stuff like that. So like, you know, a couple wants to read through all the reviews to know whether or not they want to inquire. And so that makes reviews important to suppliers, because if you have no reviews, then the one that like your direct competitor who does have the reviews will more likely get the inquiry.
Yeah. And that is the cold, hard truth that I need to face, is I'm not going to phase out. I'm not going to be able to phase out the reliance on reviews, especially when they are as powerful as they are. My job is to educate people on how to deal with them when they come.
Yeah.
And it's hopefully giving you the tools to do that today.
Yes, you have definitely done that. Thank you so much, Kathryn. Before we move on to announcing our next webinar, I just want firstly to say thank you so much. That was really, really awesome. Again,
I love doing these.
Yay! Okay, well, we'll have you back. We'll have you back.
Thank you.
We love having you as well. So we'll definitely we'll be in touch and have you back. But where can people find you? Tell us like your business, your website, your Instagram page. Where can people reach out if they have questions? Tell us everything.
Okay, so www.eventlaw.online. So I run a online business platform which gives people access to templates, contract templates, and education resources, and that is Event Law Online. You can also find me on Instagram, Event Law AU. So EVENTLAWAU. You can put your inquiries through that. But I also operate Hallett Law, which is a law firm. It's the engine of Event Law, people usually find me by Event Law. So www.eventlaw.online. The template store is there for you to stick your teeth into. That's where I do most of my work, is getting people's terms and conditions all tip-top shape. But we're going to be releasing all kinds of educational resources like about intellectual property and all of those fun legal things for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I don't know, have I said this already? I said this earlier, but I don't know if I've just said it. But if you missed the start of this will be recorded and you will get, I've seen a few people come in quite late, so you will get a recording if you missed the start. Thank you so much. Before you guys go, I just wanted to announce really quickly our webinar, which will be on the 1st of June, which will also be Mel's very special birthday on the 1st of June.
Hey.
And she will be hosting on her birthday a webinar, which is very exciting to do on your birthday. It's going to be about prepping your wedding business for tax time. And we're going to be joined by Josh Underhill from Business Lighthouse. And he's going to be talking about everything PayG, how to keep on top of your numbers, GST, best practices, budgeting, how to employ people for the first time. He's going to be covering all of it. So you'll be receiving emails about that as well and seeing it pop up on socials. But just wanted to let you know, 1st of June, save the date. But thank you, Mel, for joining. Well done, Mel, on your first webinar co-hosting.
Thanks for passing the torch. And yeah, you'll see more of me in the future webinars.
Yay. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. We'll speak very soon. And thanks everyone for attending. It was so nice seeing you all today.
All right then. See ya.
Have a good one. Bye.